You used to be able to sit with something for hours. A book, a thought, a problem worth solving. Somewhere along the way, that stopped. Now a minute of quiet feels uncomfortable, and your hand moves toward your phone before you've even made a decision to reach for it. You haven't figured out why, but there is a reason. Your focus didn't fade because something is wrong with you. It changed because your brain was quietly, consistently taught to expect something else. 1. The shifted baseline. Stillness used to feel normal. Now it feels like something's missing. The noise, the scrolling, the constant availability. It didn't just fill your time, it became your baseline. Your brain adapted to that level of input and started treating it as rest. When stimulation is constant, the brain recalibrates around it. Depth starts to feel like effort because your nervous system got used to something faster. This didn't happen because of a flaw in you. It happened because you adapted, the way any brain would. The discomfort you feel in silence isn't a personality trait. It's a recalibration. And recalibration can move in more than one direction. 2. The mind that can't rest. There's a version of you that used to sit with a thought and let it develop slowly. That version hasn't disappeared, but they're harder to access now, because when your attention is pulled constantly, the part of your brain that monitors for input never fully powers down. Always available means always alert. And a mind that's always alert doesn't know how to be still anymore. Not because it can't, but because stillness stopped being practiced. A mind that can't sit still isn't a broken mind. It's a mind that's been on call for too long. 3. The moments you filled. Think about the last time you waited somewhere without reaching for your phone. A red light, a queue, 2 minutes between tasks. The gap between quiet and distraction has closed to almost nothing. And that gap used to matter. Those small, empty moments were where your brain processed things, made connections, let ideas form without being forced. Every time you filled them, you subtracted from a kind of thinking that can't happen any other way. The moments you've been escaping were exactly the moments you needed most. 4. The skill you stopped practicing. Concentration isn't a switch you flip when something important comes up. It's a skill, and skills erode when they go unpracticed. The problem isn't that you can't focus. It's that you've stopped practicing focus in the ordinary, unremarkable moments where the skill gets built. Every time discomfort arrived and distraction replaced it, your tolerance for that discomfort dropped a little. Quietly, incrementally, until sustained focus started to feel genuinely hard. The question was never whether you can focus. It's whether you've been giving yourself any chance to practice. 5. What boredom was actually for. There's a specific kind of thinking that only happens when your brain is allowed to wander without being rescued. The kind that surfaces in a long shower, a walk with no headphones, a quiet drive. But it requires one condition. You have to stay bored long enough to pass through the discomfort. What's happened is that boredom became a problem to solve immediately. So your brain never reaches the second phase, where something interesting begins to form in the quiet. Boredom isn't emptiness, it's the entrance, and most people leave before they've stepped through it. 6. The attention you gave away. You've handed enormous amounts of your attention to things that were simply there, in your hand, whenever a quiet moment appeared. That trade has a cost most people never calculate. Because the attention itself changes based on where it habitually goes. Fast surface-level input trains fast surface-level processing. One day you sit down to think about something that actually matters, and you find you can't hold it. Not because you've gotten less intelligent, because the muscle that holds things has softened from disuse. The attention you've been giving away in small pieces is the same attention you've been missing when it counts. 7. What effortless watching taught your brain. The person who can't focus for 20 minutes will often watch 4 hours of television without noticing. That's not a contradiction. That's information. The difference isn't attention span, it's effort. Passive content is engineered to pull you forward. Deep thinking requires you to push toward it. Your brain hasn't lost the ability to sustain attention. It's learned to prefer the kind that costs nothing. And when effortless engagement is always available, effort starts to feel abnormal. Your brain can hold attention for hours. It's just been choosing the version that asks nothing of it. 8. The loss you blamed yourself for. The hardest part of all of this isn't the losing. It's the self-blame that filled the space where understanding should have been. You couldn't do something you used to do. You didn't know why. So you drew the most available conclusion: that something in you had changed, that you'd gotten worse. But what actually happened is that you adapted to an environment that made depth unnecessary and distraction effortless. Your brain did exactly what brains do. You didn't become someone who can't focus. You became someone who was never given a reason to keep practicing. The version of you that could go deep, that could sit with something and follow it all the way through, that version isn't gone. They've just been living in conditions that made depth feel optional and distraction feel normal, every single day, for a long time. The story you've been carrying, that your mind is weaker now, that you lost something you can't get back, that story was built on a misunderstanding, not a flaw in you, a misread of what happened to you. When you understand that, something shifts. Not your habits, just the way you see yourself when focus feels hard. The difficulty isn't evidence of who you are, it's evidence of what you've been through. If you're interested in understanding yourself a little more deeply, subscribe. Because this channel isn't about giving you more noise. It's about helping you hear the thoughts you've been trying to ignore.